The very first day I returned home, I knew my enemy wasn't the switched at birth daughter, but that pretentious cousin beside her. When the switch daughter vacated her room for me, my cousin quietly slipped in with her luggage. She thought I'd swallow my pride.
You are new here and will be comfortable. Stay in my room for now.
I tossed her luggage straight out the window.
Now that I am back, I call the shots in this house.
The switch daughter, bullied by my cousin for over a decade, shed 2 streams of tears behind me.
I've waited so long for you. Thank goodness you didn't give up.
Like I'd give up as a control freak, I had to manage even that family with no blood ties, let alone this one where we share blood. Ever since I was little, I've had this inexplicable urge to control everything. It turned me into a little bossy boots from the age of 3. In front of me, my parents and 2 older brothers would just scratch their heads and repeat, "Our youngest is the smartest," whatever she says goes. When I was a kid, I once stormed into school swinging a baseball bat to deal with the bullies picking on my brother. People for miles around would say, "The Evans family are all honest, hardworking blue-collar folks except that youngest daughter who runs wild all day. She can't possibly be their real child." Turns out they were right. That summer when I was 19, I learned my biological parents were the Sterling family from San Francisco. My university happened to be in San Francisco. The Sterlings called repeatedly, making endless excuses for me to come back. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to go see them. The Sterling family was fairly well off, living in a large suburban mansion. I heard they owned a small corporate firm. That day happened to be Eleanor Sterling's birthday, and relatives gathered for a small family banquet. Before the meal began, the relatives mingled in small groups. Among the young people, my age, an overly prim and proper girl caught my eye. She was the daughter of Uncle Tom, the 3rd brother Lexi Sterling, if I recall correctly. I couldn't fathom why this cousin, neither the birthday girl nor the hostess, was decked out like a Christmas tree. She fit my stereotype of most scheming individuals. True to form, Lexi soon began flaunting her whip. It wasn't even noon yet, and the switched daughter Chloe Sterling had just finished preparing several massive casseroles and roasts. She approached me timidly and said,
I tidied up a room for you this morning. You can move in any time.
The switch daughter pointed to the largest bedroom upstairs. Unexpectedly, this girl was more savvy than I'd imagined. My gaze shifted from the stack of dishes piled on the stove to Chloe's hands covered in burn marks.
All these dishes, you made them all by yourself. Didn't you consider ordering takeout or hiring a caterer?
Chloe shyly tugged at the corner of her mouth.
Mom and Dad said homemade food is cleaner. Plus, it shows our sincerity to the relatives.
Sincerity? A massive Thanksgiving-style feast today, all prepared by a little girl. If sincerity is the goal, why didn't they cook it themselves? Only then did I truly observe the girl before me, the one who'd swapped lives with me. The switched daughter, Chloe, wore her hair in a low ponytail. She was tanned, not very tall, with a stocky figure and a round face. I sighed inwardly. True to her Evans lineage, she shared the family's distinctive features. Unaware of my thoughts, Chloe timidly offered,
Sydney Evans, shall I show you to your room?
I smiled faintly and followed her upstairs. The sight of the room packed with luggage instantly drained the switch daughter's face.
These things aren't mine. I really did clear the room for you.
She stammered in panic. I just stared at the switch daughter quietly.
So you are saying you gave me the room, meaning I can do whatever I want with it, right?
The switch daughter froze, then nodded even harder. With that answer, I walked over, grabbed the bedding, and tossed it down into the garden below. Then, under Chloe's stunned gaze, I snapped the laptop on the desk in half and tossed it out too. After finishing all this, I flashed Chloe a smile.
Don't worry, I know these things aren't yours. They belong to your cousin, Lexi Sterling.
Earlier, I'd noticed Lexi sneak upstairs and move her belongings into the room. She intended to seize this bedroom, striking while I wasn't looking. I nearly laughed out loud. How had the Sterling family ever protected this daughter of their relatives? Did they spoil her so much she thought I'd swallow this injustice silently? Chloe surveyed the mess on the floor, then turned to me with an admiring look. I brushed dust off my hands.
If you want to thank me, help unpack my bag.
This time, I'd only brought a small backpack with toiletries. The only valuable item was a designer essential oil diffuser. I have trouble sleeping without it. Seeing the switch daughter genuinely intent on helping, I helplessly patted her shoulder.
Just kidding, I was just saying you really think you are my maid?
I pushed Chloe toward the stairs. My plan was for her to sit and rest, but this industrious girl slipped straight into the kitchen. The Evans family's diligence is truly ingrained in their genes. This time back, I'd planned 800 sneaky tricks to deal with the switch daughter. Never expected her to be so down to earth, it was jaw-dropping. Thankfully, That pretentious cousin Lexi kept jumping around at the banquet. Her whole face screamed, "Come deal with me." It hadn't even been 10 minutes since I tossed Lexi's luggage. I noticed Lexi returning upstairs, likely to retrieve more belongings. She must have realized I tossed everything. I wondered if she'd storm down to yell at me. Then I could demand to know what right this cousin had to lord it over everyone in her uncle's house in front of my own parents. Instead, Lexi kept her cool, turning the tables by tossing my belongings downstairs as well. Then she sat down across from me without a word. When our eyes met, she rolled her eyes at me in a flash. What Lexi threw was my essential oil diffuser. So while pouring drinks, she deliberately stroked the glass cup and told Chloe,
Glass items like this break too easily. Next time you go to Target, remember to buy shatterproof plastic ones. They're durable and can last for years.
She also instructed the switched daughter. The switched daughter was useless too, actually replying.
Oh, okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Great Aunt Martha overheard this and immediately began fawning over Lexi.
Lexi isn't just beautiful, she is so sensible too. At such a young age, she already understands thrift and household management.
The others chimed in agreement.
I watched this child grow up. She was clever and capable from a young age, reciting Shakespeare at 6, mastering the multiplication tables backward by 7. When she was little, I bought her some Legos and she finished building them in one afternoon. I knew then she was destined for greatness.
Lexi's biological mother, Aunt Karen, was a hypocrite to her core. She draped her arm around Lexi's shoulder, feigning modesty.
If she is as smart as you all say, she'll surely be snapped up by Stanford after the SATs.
I remember clearly that today was also the day the SAT scores were released online. With Aunt Karen's reminder, everyone began saying Lexi would surely get into Stanford. Lexi smiled coyly.
All thanks to Uncle and Auntie's nurturing and our Sterling family's superior genes.
This was her roundabout way of insulting Chloe, implied that Chloe was unintelligent, incompetent, unattractive, and now even disparaging her genes. Chloe remained silent throughout, too humiliated to lift her head. And what were Chloe's parents doing at that moment? Lexi was being fawned over by the Sterling relatives as the family's shining star. My own father, Richard Sterling, took pride in his niece Lexi.
It is all Lexi's own doing, unlike Chloe, who can't get anything right.
Even the birthday girl, Eleanor Sterling, chimed in.
Chloe just wasn't cut out for studying.
Aunt Karen beamed with pride, raising her wine glass.
Sister-in-law, all these years Lexi lived with you, ate at your table, and was nurtured into such excellence. As her own mother, I feel utterly inadequate.
Relatives chimed in.
Indeed, every piece of clothing Lexi wears, every stationary item she uses, aren't they all designer labels? Richard's family has prospered, yet they've never forgotten us middle-class relatives. Eleanor is the head of the English department at the local prep school. She treats Lexi better than her own daughter, sparing no expense or effort in her education.
The elders remarked.
After all, he is the eldest son of the Sterling family. He truly hasn't forgotten his roots.
My biological parents were beaming with pride, sitting front and center, desperately trying to suppress their smiles. Seems my hunch was right. This Sterling couple are the type who favor outsiders while claiming impartiality. To maintain their reputation, they'd rather let their own child suffer than show the slightest neglect to someone else's. Lexi knew this couple inside out, which is why she could boldly take over my bedroom on my very first day home. She knew that even if I brought this to the Sterling family's attention, they'd pressure me to give in for the sake of appearances. Sure enough, my clueless mother chimed in soon after.
I treat Lexi well because she deserves it. Chloe looks terrible in anything. She is nowhere near as good as her cousin.
Lexi gloated triumphantly. Perhaps finding the switch daughter's lack of resistance dull, she shifted to setting traps.
Sydney has such a great figure, just like a Sterling girl. She can wear my hand-me-downs from now on.
I chuckled inwardly, so she wanted to fight for control. I asked casually.
Why should I wear your hand-me-downs? Do you think I deserve them?
I was the one who controlled others. No one controlled me. Lexi froze, then quickly added.
Sydney, you just got back. Chloe couldn't fit into my clothes before, but you are slimmer than her.
I set down my fork.
Whether I am home or not has nothing to do with you letting others wear your hand-me-downs. Or are you saying Chloe, raised as your own daughter for over a decade, isn't even worthy of wearing her cousin's old clothes, but I, the newly recognized child, am somehow worthy of wearing my cousin's hand-me-downs?
Lexi started to panic.
Sydney, what are you saying? You are the biological daughter of your uncle and aunt. I am just an outsider. How could I have that kind of power? Someone might think I am bullying my own cousin. You are being too sensitive. Maybe you are just not used to being back yet. I won't blame you.
Once someone realizes they're in the wrong, they start playing innocent. Too bad we control freaks are masters at setting the tone. My hands clasped on the table.
Am I being overly sensitive? Or are you secretly laying down rules telling me every child in this house must use your hand-me-downs?
Lexi shot to her feet.
Sydney, that is outrageous. I never meant anything like that.
I immediately glanced at the grim-faced head of the Sterling household. These two were nothing but fame-hungry hypocrites. The moment they sensed this girl wasn't as docile as they'd imagined, they'd snatch back everything they'd given her. People like them valued their public image more than their own lives, probably inherited that controlling gene from the Sterling family. As fellow sufferers, I knew exactly how to treat them.
Cousin, why are you so angry? Why not have some chamomile tea to calm your nerves? Someone's celebrating their birthday here. Aren't you being a bit too spoiled, shouting at someone else's banquet? Don't you think that shows a lack of respect for the host? The relatives were just saying how sensible you are. Aren't you embarrassing the adults now?
After a moment, my biological father, Richard Sterling, spoke with a hint of displeasure.
Lexi, Sydney has just returned home. There are matters the adults have their own arrangements for.
Hearing this, my cousin froze instantly. The entire gathering of relatives, stunned by my outburst, stood dumbfounded. The switch daughter even looked at me with newfound respect. Lexi dared not utter another word. After all, the head of the Sterling family was her breadwinner. Uncle Tom's family worked away from home, only returning during holidays, which is why they entrusted their daughter Lexi entirely to the care of the eldest Sterling household. Their financial situation was indeed far less stable than that of the eldest Sterling. Originally, Lexi had intended to stir up conflict between me and the switch daughter Chloe, hoping to reap the benefits. Little did she expect that with just a few words from me, she'd be left with nowhere to turn. Aunt Karen's eyes darted about as she hatched a new plan.
Richard, you've misunderstood. Lexi has always been the eldest sister, so she instinctively wants to look after her younger sisters. Lexi just finished her SATs and will start university in September. Since Sydney just returned home, Lexi was just reluctant to see her go and said a few extra words.
This Uncle Tom's family sure had a way with words. No wonder they coaxed the Sterling couple into doting on their niece more than their own daughter. Relatives chimed in to smooth things over.
If Lexi gets into Stanford, she won't be able to come home often. Some clothes might not be suitable for college, so she probably wanted to leave them for her sisters. Oh, I forgot to ask, what score does Lexi think she got on her SATs?
Lexi flicked her hair and simply replied.
After several practice tests, I've consistently scored over 1,300.
A few cousins chimed in.
The practice tests in our district are notoriously tough. Lexi will definitely hit 1,400 this time, maybe even 1,500.
Lexi seemed to remember something and began probing me under the guise of concern.
Chloe and I both took the SATs here. I won't talk about Chloe. What about you, Sydney? How many points do you estimate you'll score?
Why did she say she wouldn't mention Chloe? Chloe awkwardly stood up.
There are still a few dishes to prepare. I'll go check the oven in the kitchen.
No one answered Chloe, nor did anyone care about her feeling. Aunt Karen, however, was entirely focused on probing my scores. She sat right in front of me and asked,
Sydney, don't be afraid, just say it boldly. No one will blame you if you guess wrong.
Several cousins chimed in sarcastically.
Yeah, small towns are lacking in educational resources anyway. Just do your best.
Under their gloating stares, I answered clearly.
1,580.
Silence hung for a few seconds before Lexi suddenly chuckled. She quickly apologized, saying she'd accidentally choked on something.
I am just so surprised Sydney asked you to guess, yet you gave an exact number. Do you realize that score could get you into a top-tier Ivy League or Stanford?
My own mother, Eleanor Sterling, lectured me in the tone of an educator.
Don't your rural teachers ever analyze past university admission cutoff scores?
She claimed my high school teachers were unprofessional. They couldn't grasp the essence of college admissions, giving students such easy practice questions. Aunt Karen seemed instantly relieved. She patted my shoulder and said,
It is good for young people to have dreams.
Then she started offering advice.
If you really want into Stanford, the Sinclair boy next door goes there. You could ask him later to get a better idea.
Eleanor Sterling said,
I ran into Mr. Sinclair yesterday. He mentioned Ryan just got back home.
I narrowed my eyes slowly.
The Sinclair family, are you talking about Ryan Sinclair?
At the mention of Ryan Sinclair, Lexi suddenly perked up.
He is a famous esports player on the Stanford team. Do you watch his Twitch streams? If you want Ryan's autograph, I can ask him for you.
I raised an eyebrow.
What are you close with him?
Lexi and her parents exchanged a glance before the girl lowered her head and pressed her lips together.
We're okay if you plan to retake the SATs for Stanford next year. I can ask Ryan to help you prepare.
Her hesitant expression, Whether meant for me or her parents was hard to read. Aunt Karen's shrewd eyes darted around. Leaning closer, she whispered conspiratorially.
Ryan and our Lexi have practically grown up together. The Sinclairs are quite wealthy now. A custom chandelier cost $3 million 20 years ago. Their son was always sought after by society girls, yet he chose to hang out with my Lexi.
This was an affluent neighborhood, home to multimillionaires. This mansion in the farthest corner was a bargain, the Sterlings snatched up, all to network with upper-tier businessmen. Their own daughter, Chloe, lacked that charm, but thankfully they had a lovely tall niece, Lexi, who was quite likable. The Sinclair family's corporate contracts could sustain the Sterling couple for an entire year. Naturally, they favored this niece who could help them. Ultimately, Aunt Karen's attempts to belittle me first by bringing up the SATs, then mentioning the Sinclairs next door stemmed from fear that her daughter might lose favor and no longer reap benefits. To reinforce her daughter's image as irresistibly charming to men, Aunt Karen continued her relentless chatter.
A boy as proud as Ryan. Other girls throw themselves at him and still can't get close. But the moment he saw our Lexi, he started calling her little sister nonstop. He adores her.
I closed my eyes, suddenly finding it amusing. I immediately sent Ryan Sinclair a text.
Heard you have tons of little sisters throwing themselves at you.
Ryan Sinclair sent back a deadpan emoji. Then he asked where I was, saying he'd drive over with some classmates to pick me up. I sent him my location. Lexi's face reflected off my phone screen. She'd left her seat unnoticed and was now standing behind me. I quickly covered the screen with my hand. Not only did Lexi see nothing wrong with her lack of boundaries, she grinned and teased me.
Sydney, you've got a boyfriend now, huh?
To prove she wasn't making it up, she pointed playfully at my phone.
Don't be shy. I saw it earlier. You two even have matching couple profile pictures. When are you bringing your boyfriend home to meet us?
Glancing around, I saw the Sterling family staring at me like I was some trailer park dropout who'd started working a dead-end job way too young. Lexi's great aunt Martha, who'd been doting on her earlier, now frowned disapprovingly.
Young people should focus their energy on their studies.
Others chimed in.
White-collar jobs are hard to come by these days, but blue-collar work is everywhere. You need to think long-term. They say online that girls raised in poverty are easy prey for those bleach blonde deadbeats.
My self-righteous father felt humiliated, his face stiffening as he declared.
Don't bring those gangbangers home. Your mother is an educator after all. It wouldn't reflect well on us.
Eleanor Sterling phrased it more delicately.
Sydney, we simply hope you'll pursue your studies, college tuition. Just ask us for it.
My eldest cousin scoffed.
Well, she'd need a place to study first.
Here he goes again, trying to control me. Doesn't this control freak realize he hates being controlled the most? I shot him a glare.
You haven't even cooled your own coffee yet, and you are telling me what to do.
My cousin slammed the table and yelled at me.
What did you say? Say it again if you dare.
I didn't get angry.
Watch your tone. Didn't you hear your uncle? Thugs aren't allowed in the Sterling household.
My cousin's eyes spat venom, but he could only glare at me helplessly. After all, he couldn't out-argue me, and he dared not lay a finger on me. I relished this look of his wanting to put me in my place, but powerless to do so. Lexi was a master at using others as pawns. But unfortunately, my formidable cousin failed to intimidate me. She adopted a peacemaker's tone to mediate.
I see Sydney takes things very seriously, but then everyone in our Sterling family is like that. Take me, for instance. You know, I am terrible at cooking. Yet I insisted on making a special family recipe birthday pasta for Auntie.
Everyone praised Lexi's diligence. Lexi entered the kitchen under everyone's surprised gazes. With only 2 stovetops available, Lexi insisted on shooing Chloe out of the kitchen. Chloe was just about to pull her beef Wellington out of the oven when she was rushed out. The pastry crust ended up burnt. Nothing that happened earlier made me angry, but this did. Lexi ruined my beef Wellington. Soon, Lexi brought out a massive bowl of spicy buffalo chicken birthday pasta amid everyone's praise. Eleanor Sterling tasted it and exclaimed it was delicious.
Even the finest catered meals can't compare to the pasta my dear Lexi cooks herself.
I instinctively looked at Chloe sitting ahead. The moment Eleanor spoke, Chloe instantly lowered her head. The girl, curled up in her seat, looked so ashamed she wished she could vanish into thin air. I couldn't help but feel a twinge of sympathy for her. These dishes take at least 2 or 3 days to prepare properly. Yet she'd been bustling around all day, not even having time to take a sip of water. In her parents' eyes, this entire table of food couldn't hold a candle to her cousin's bowl of pasta. Eleanor Sterling dug in heartily, devouring more than half the bowl in moments. I couldn't stand the Sterling family's twisted values any longer and spoke up.
You should save some room to taste the other dishes.
Lexi wasn't pleased, her face plastered with a fake smile.
Cousin's cooking tastes the same every time. We can have it tomorrow.
She pouted at Eleanor Sterling.
Auntie, this pasta is freshly made. You really must try it.
Lexi implied Chloe's entire spread was pre-made takeout. Even someone as slow as Chloe caught the implication. She hurriedly explained,
My dishes are freshly made too.
poor cook, slaving over a family feast. Being told it wasn't as good as a bowl of pasta was bad enough. Now, she was being accused of ordering takeout. I meddle in everything under the sun, but there is one group I dare not offend. That is cooks. I immediately switched to battle mode.
Cousin, you just said Chloe's food tastes the same every time, so it doesn't matter when you eat it. That is not right, is it?
She probably didn't expect every little scheme she had would be exposed in public by someone as clueless as me. Lexi's face darkened instantly.
Sydney, what are you trying to say now? Chloe's cooking tastes the same every single meal. That is a fact. Besides, I did find takeout boxes in the trash.
Chloe nervously glanced at me. Her cousin Lexi was a silver-tongued devil who could spin black into white. Plus, as the leader of the kids, she had plenty of supporters ready to back her up. The others chimed in.
At least Lexi is honest. The pasta wasn't gourmet, but at least it wasn't frozen meals. Yeah, if you are ordering takeout, why bother eating at home? Might as well just go to a restaurant.
I pretended not to hear and feigned surprise.
Cousin, why are you suddenly upset? Who mentioned takeout? I didn't say anything. You guys kept going on about pre-made meals and takeout, all this faking stuff.
Lexi sneered coldly.
I clearly remember you just questioning my statement that Chloe's cooking tastes the same every single meal.
I lifted the corners of my mouth slightly.
Chloe's cooking has the flavor of a daughter, while your birthday pasta only has the flavor of a niece. What I meant was that you shouldn't have said Chloe's cooking is good anytime you eat it. How can you let your niece take precedence over your own child? That is not how things are done. There is no rule in the world that says nieces always come first. Outsiders can never compare to your own daughter. Oh, I was talking about the taste, not the person.
It backfired spectacularly. Chloe looked at me in astonishment, her expression saying, "Is this even human speech?" Lexi realized she'd fallen into my trap again. She thought her sharp tongue could bully the clumsy Chloe. Could she possibly bully me? If she truly believed that before, it only proved she'd never met someone who could really argue. Like me, Lexi clearly couldn't win this argument. She gritted her teeth and glared at me with venom. But I wasn't done yet. Resting my chin in my hand, I innocently asked,
Oh dear, is my cousin going to say I am being too sensitive again? But whether I am visiting the Evans family or classmates' homes, their parents always eat the dishes their children made first. They always put their own children first.
The Sterling couple's faces flushed alternately pale and crimson at my words. Aunt Karen tried to speak urgently, but I cut her off again.
Besides, isn't birthday pasta something children make for their own parents? Aunt Karen, I mean no offense, but until now, I assumed birthday pasta was made by one's own child for one's own parents. Other parents have their own children making it. Isn't that common sense? Am I the only one who thinks this way? Aunt Karen, I suddenly feel for you. Your child makes birthday pasta for someone else's parents, but whose child makes birthday pasta for you? Does your niece make it for you?
Aunt Karen's features visibly twisted. Her tone turned sharp.
You've got quite the sharp tongue.
I thought to myself, the real sharpness was yet to come. I turned to look at the cousin who'd mentioned Chloe ordering takeout earlier.
Speaking of takeout, I just ordered a box of spicy buffalo wings yesterday. I didn't finish it, so I transferred the leftovers to a glass bowl. It was too hot to put in the fridge, and now the chicken wings have grown layers of green and white fuzz. I tossed the takeout box right away. You wouldn't have seen that, would you? Oh dear, come to think of it, this birthday pasta dish my cousin made also has spicy buffalo chicken. Could it be that loving spicy buffalo chicken is a flavor etched into our Sterling family genes?
Eleanor Sterling began making gagging motions. She scrutinized the chicken wing bones by the table and seemed to spot green fuzz. She bolted to the bathroom and vomited violently. Lexi stood frozen in place, drained of color. Aren't you usually so arrogant? Aren't you always so fearless? Haven't you relied on your wit and beauty to lead this pack of cousins and relatives in bullying Chloe for over a decade? Now, at this very moment, you finally know how to spell the word fear. You used to boast that Chloe lived in your shadow. Well, now I am back. I'll show you what a real shadow looks like. After vomiting, Eleanor Sterling stormed back into the living room, clearly intent on confronting Lexi. Lexi, quick-witted in the crisis, pulled out a gift box.
Auntie, I was actually planning to surprise you with this. Unfortunately, Sydney interrupted. Please don't dwell on the chicken wing incident. I genuinely did prepare them at home. I saw a portion in the refrigerator and assumed it was the one I made. But after discussing it with Mom just now, we realized I'd forgotten mine at home and never brought it.
Eleanor Sterling gave a stiff.
Oh,
The pearl earrings inside this box were quite valuable, more than enough to save face. Adults always know when to back down. Pressing further about the moldy chicken wings wouldn't benefit Eleanor Sterling in the slightest. She slipped on the expensive earrings, then abruptly turned to me.
Sydney, what about the gift for your mother?
If I were a normal person, I'd never understand the origin of Eleanor Sterling's inexplicable accusation. But as a control freak, I understood this tactic well. She simply believed everyone in the world should prepare gifts for her, even if that person had no idea it was her birthday. Even if that person was her daughter, meeting for the first time in 19 years. Such people operate on no logic. To achieve her goal of mentally controlling you, she'd first set up some false moral traps. When you are publicly shamed, unable to defend yourself, and utterly flustered, she'd deliberately show a look of disappointment. Driven by guilt and desperate to prove yourself to those accusing you, you'd start trying to please her, coaxing her, begging for her forgiveness. From then on, you'll be led by her emotional whims. I can guarantee that if I show the slightest crack now, if I shake my head and say I brought no gift, Eleanor Sterling will immediately add, "You show up empty-handed for your own mother's birthday, trapping me in a public backlash, nailing me to the cross as an ungrateful child." My cousin Lexi plays the accomplice to this control freak. She starts questioning me too.
Sydney must have brought a gift. I told her earlier that today is Auntie's birthday.
You never said that, okay? But her baseless accusation actually reminded me. I cheerfully stood up and told Eleanor Sterling.
Of course I did. I'll go upstairs and get it for you right now.
As I walked, I continued.
I specially bought a limited edition essential oil diffuser this time. It is upstairs in my room. I heard you are a teacher and must often stay up late grading papers. The diffuser has a soothing effect that helps with sleep.
The triumphant look on Lexi's face froze the moment I mentioned the diffuser. She scrambled to run upstairs and stop me, but I'd already begun my performance. I stood at the back garden gate, eyes glazed over. Pretending to have just discovered the shattered pieces, my body began to sway violently.
Who threw my essential oil diffuser down from upstairs?
I cradled the scattered shards.
What did the diffuser ever do to deserve this?
My cousin Lexi knew trouble was brewing. She finally understood my earlier silence had been a deliberate wait for her. Lexi flared up.
Sydney Evans, stop putting on this act. You are the one who threw my luggage down first.
I turned to her with a look of utter devastation.
Then why was your luggage in my room, cousin?
Lexi froze, staring at my trembling form, her mouth open but no words came out. Rubbing my eyes until they were red, I cradled my shattered essential oil diffuser and choked out.
Cousin Lexi just wanted to intimidate me to make me realize that in this family, only she calls the shots. Both me, her biological daughter, and Chloe, the girl she has raised for over a decade, are nothing but outsiders. No wonder none of my cousins greeted me when I walked in.
The clique siding with Lexi erupted.
When did we ever isolate you? Exactly, you can talk about her, but don't drag us into this. We can't stand your fake act. What are you playing at?
I clutched my essential oil diffuser tightly, trembling.
Then why did you all stay silent when my cousin moved her luggage into my room without my permission? You all knew that room was meant for me. Why didn't a single one of you speak up? Even if you felt powerless, you could have at least told the adults. You weren't staying out of it at all, those huge bags of luggage. My cousin couldn't have moved them alone. When she threw my things down, you were all just standing there waiting to see me suffer.
The group of 7 or 8 fell silent. A tree of bewilderment bears bewildered fruit. Beneath it, you and I stand. Richard Sterling's brows furrowed.
Lexi, did you really take over Sydney's room?
Lexi fell silent.
Uncle, I just feared Sydney wouldn't adjust.
Her feeble excuse only deepened the weight in Richard Sterling's eyes. He slammed his hand twice on the table and turned to the younger cousins.
Are all of you siding with Lexi to bully Sydney?
The patriarch's question sent panic rippling through the group. The Sterling couple, if they hadn't blown things out of proportion, were the type to put on airs of righteous indignation behind closed doors. I quietly admired the Sterling patriarch displaying his authority before the relatives. When my biological mother first contacted me by phone, she kept saying the elders wanted to see their grandchild, then that my cousins wanted to see their cousin. But when I actually arrived, the elders dismissed me with disdain. while the younger ones gathered to gossip about me. My eldest cousin, Lexi, with her nose in the air, flitted among the guests in her floral dress, looking quite the picture of elegance. Yet before Richard Sterling, she became a timid little bird. Her pride had always run deep. She never grasped that the wise know when to yield. After being publicly scolded, she still couldn't let it go. Pointing at the essential oil diffuser, she endured the humiliation and grumbled at me.
That diffuser's been used so many times it is worn out. It was never meant for Auntie in the first place.
I pursed my lips at Eleanor Sterling.
Then my cousin smashed it perfectly. Thank goodness she did it early, turns out. She smashed my essential oil diffuser for my own good. My eldest cousin is smarter than me. She just sent over a bowl of pasta, simple, efficient, didn't cost a penny. She even borrowed the kitchen from our family.
Lexi stared at me, wide-eyed in disbelief. Seems she underestimated my knack for digging up old dirt. Eleanor Sterling's eyes blazed with fury as she glared at Lexi. Aunt Karen's face flushed crimson as she leaned in to placate Eleanor.
This child is our fault for not disciplining her properly. Please don't be angry, sister-in-law. Come to think of it, when Lexi was in elementary school, you were her homeroom teacher. She treated you like her own mother, which is why she was so familiar with you.
Hearing this, I suddenly realized that Lexi and Chloe had been in the same class at the same elementary school. So Chloe's elementary teacher must have been her own mother. No wonder Chloe was so insecure given Eleanor Sterling's tendency to favor outsiders over her own kin. To prove she wasn't partial to her biological daughter, she likely used her own child as a warning example in class. Just then, someone rang the doorbell. Great. Aunt Martha went to answer it and found a group of college students. After a few words, the great aunt suddenly raised her voice.
What? You are from the Stanford admissions office?
Before they could continue, she was shouting excitedly at the doorway.
Lexi, you've made it. The Stanford admissions reps are here for you.
Hearing this, the atmosphere in the hall instantly brightened. Everyone congratulated Lexi in a flurry of voices.
Lexi really made us proud. Getting into Stanford means she has made it big. Even though Lexi sometimes teases her little sister, she never slacks off when it comes to serious matters. Exactly. She knows exactly what she wants to do. Girls should be strong like that. Then they won't get pushed around in the real world. Lexi was always the leader of the pack. Kids her age listened to her. She had this queen-like presence. College really tests leadership skills. She might even join the student council. With Lexi's emotional intelligence, she is definitely cut out for leadership once she graduates.
All the hurtful things Lexi had just said to me and Chloe were instantly forgotten. It was as if academic excellence could mask any character flaws. Mr. and Mrs. Sterling seemed to have let the earlier incident go as well. At her aunt's prompting, Lexi stepped forward to placate the couple.
Uncle, Auntie, please don't be angry anymore. It was Lexi's fault for being so immature. Lexi's admission to Stanford is all thanks to you two. She won't forget this kindness.
The relatives burst into laughter, praising Lexi as a grateful and well-behaved child. After teaching for so many years, Eleanor Sterling had never produced a student admitted to Stanford. As retirement approached, this became a major regret in her teaching career. Now that Lexi had gained admission to Stanford, she claimed it was all thanks to her teaching. Eleanor protested. Oh, no, not at all. But the wrinkles on her face practically blossomed like flowers. Several students from the admissions office had been standing outside the door for a while. Inside, the group remained immersed in their family harmony act, embracing and offering congratulations. They stood there utterly bewildered, feeling as if they'd accidentally stumbled into a stage play. They even thought the Sterling family should pay them for the performance. After what felt like an eternity, Richard Sterling finally remembered to usher the students inside. Still visibly moved, his voice carried a hint of a catch in his throat.
Kids, I know you came prepared with all sorts of arguments to persuade our Lexi to choose Stanford, but there is no need to say more. Put away all those pitches for Stanford. Our Lexi has always had only one goal, your Stanford. Here you have no competition.
Admissions office student.
Oh,
Richard Sterling then noticed the dark-haired youth in the far corner.
Ryan, this is your classmate, right?
Richard Sterling was unusually excited today, and his chatter had increased considerably.
Just look at them. These admissions officers nowadays will resort to anything to snatch up students, even playing the childhood sweetheart card.
Mr. Sterling, we're in a hurry. We need to leave as soon as everyone's here.
The admissions officer politely interrupted Richard. Hearing this, Eleanor Sterling immediately pulled Lexi closer, half embracing her. She stroked Lexi's hair gently, stroke by stroke.
This is our Lexi. Where are you headed next? Straight to Stanford. That is good. Though Lexi has always wanted to apply to Stanford, she has never actually had a proper tour of the campus.
The senior couldn't help but frown slightly. Someone behind her spoke up to explain to Eleanor.
We're here to find our student body president.
Eleanor Sterling paused in her movements.
Aren't you here for recruitment?
The senior student replied.
Sorry, but there aren't any high schoolers in this neighborhood we're looking to recruit.
Earlier, this group had jostled and pushed their way forward to witness Lexi's glorious moment. They'd shoved me all the way to the farthest corner. Hearing the senior student's words, the crowd parted slightly, and she finally spotted me. She called out loudly.
President, finally found you. The charter bus is waiting at the gate.
Lexi stared dumbfounded as I walked past her toward the admissions team. Eleanor Sterling grabbed my arm abruptly. Her piercing gaze held both shock and fury. After gathering her thoughts, she asked me, her voice trembling with disbelief. When did you start college and at Stanford? Why didn't you ever mention this? Her tone sounded accusatory, as if I deliberately concealed my admission to Stanford. I offered a polite smile, though it didn't reach my eyes.
I did mention it. When my cousin asked, she thought it was so unbelievable she nearly choked on her water.
Lexi stood in the center, beads of sweat trickling down her temples. She wouldn't forget that just an hour ago when she'd mocked my SAT results, she'd asked me how I estimated my own score. After I told her last year's exam results, she'd laughed at me for estimating my score with such precision. I never said my score was an estimate. The sensation of falling from heaven to hell must be exactly what Lexi was experiencing now. Eleanor Sterling clutched my sleeve relentlessly.
No, you must explain yourself. When I called you earlier, why didn't you mention you'd already been accepted to university?
How could I explain without you asking? You yourself assumed I was the same age as Lexi, impossible for me to have taken the SATs before her. You'd already made up your mind about me. Assumed I was some trailer park dropout destined for blue-collar work. A middle-aged woman I'd barely met had the nerve to lecture me at the dinner table, going on about how girls should study hard and not hang out with thugs. But of course I wouldn't say that to Eleanor Sterling. She could ask me such a ridiculous question in front of everyone. It was clear my own mother's controlling nature was impossible to hide. The worst thing you can do with a control freak is explain yourself earnestly. I had my own tactics. Under Eleanor's interrogation, I didn't get angry. I just told her.
I didn't tell you because I was afraid that once you found out, you'd insist on preparing a perfect score present for me. Just like you didn't tell me it was your birthday today over the phone, wasn't that because you didn't want me to spend money?
Eleanor Sterling's facial muscles began to twitch. She was probably thinking, after being a control freak for so many years, she'd finally met her match. Joking aside, back then, with my hands in my pockets, there was no one I couldn't control, no family I couldn't discipline. As Eleanor's hands slowly relaxed, I turned to face Lexi behind me, looking utterly devastated and haggard.
Thank goodness my cousin told me about your birthday in advance. Otherwise, my essential oil diffuser wouldn't have shattered. If I'd known I wouldn't have bought that diffuser, I'd have made a bowl of steaming hot pasta instead. After all, even the most exquisite dishes before you can't compare to your niece's instant pasta.
Lexi rushed forward and bellowed at me hoarsely.
You can't get over the pasta, can you?
The words fell, and the entire room fell silent. The next second, Ryan Sinclair stepped forward swiftly, shielding me behind him. Caught off guard, Lexi met Ryan's gaze, which brimmed with undisguised hostility. I didn't shy away from the confrontation.
Ryan, is this your childhood sweetheart?
Lexi's demeanor shifted instantly. She adopted a pitiful tone, her voice strained as she called out.
Ryan, I don't understand why Sydney harbors such intense hostility toward me.
Ryan Sinclair cut her off.
If you don't know, then work it out yourself. When you encounter an SAT question you can't solve, do you go ask the college board why they hold such hostility towards you that they deliberately made the question so difficult?
Lexi's face flushed crimson.
Ryan, you weren't always like this. Since when did you start defending others?
Every student behind me, myself included, stared blankly like dead fish eyes. Chloe, slow to react, finally moved her lips to remind Lexi.
Sydney seems to be Ryan Sinclair's girlfriend, you know?
Lexi suddenly exploded, lashing out at Chloe.
Get lost, you jinx. What do you know?
Bullying the timid and insecure Chloe was practically ingrained in Lexi's bones. Only after lashing out did Lexi realize her outburst. But how could I let this golden opportunity slip?
So this is the Sterling family's upbringing, parents neglecting their own daughter while indulging outsiders who bully her. Thank goodness I didn't grow up in the Sterling household, otherwise I'd never have gotten into Stanford.
That final remark struck a precise blow to the Sterling couple's pride. I patted the switch daughter's shoulder.
You've had it rough these past years. If you'd been raised under my care from childhood, you'd have gotten into Stanford this year.
With the admissions deadline looming, Eleanor Sterling called after me as I left.
We are your parents, after all. Is this how little respect you have for us?
Richard Sterling added.
Well, this is eye-opening, so this is how the Evans family raises their daughters.
I saw no need for subtlety. After observing them all morning, I pinpointed their vulnerabilities.
Chloe respects you, but look how well that turned out for her. The Evans family's approach certainly opened your eyes. They raised a daughter who got into Stanford. You couldn't manage that.
Aunt Karen couldn't hold back.
But didn't you get into Stanford because of the Sterling family genes?
Then Lexi has those same Sterling genes. I got into Stanford, did she?
They fell silent again. I couldn't understand it. Every time I shut them down with just a few words, yet they kept coming back to humiliate themselves. Not a sound followed me as I stepped out the gate. I was almost at the community entrance when Eleanor Sterling suddenly burst out screaming at me.
Since you don't acknowledge us, we see no need to acknowledge you either. We'll pretend we never had this ungrateful daughter.
I stared at the hysterical woman before me, my heart as still as water. I only replied,
Did you ever raise me for a single day? Did you ever cook a single meal for me? You did give me life, but you never nurtured me. You showered Lexi with kindness, yet what did she give you in return? Did she get into Stanford? Number, she only made you a bowl of pasta.
The pasta incident truly couldn't be overlooked. On the bus, after my classmates learned about the baby mix-up, they expressed sympathy for my plight. I waved it off. I was happy in the Evans family. The poor one is the switched daughter, trapped all these years. Today's recruitment task concluded by evening. We were searching for a place to eat. Funds were tight lately, and my fingers went numb scrolling through group deals. Then Eleanor Sterling called to apologize. She must have suddenly realized that back at the gate, she truly had no right to accuse me of ingratitude. Control freaks are inherently delusional. I am used to it. Seeing my starving classmates beside me, I, as club president, decided to treat them to a proper meal. So I accepted Eleanor's invitation to dinner. Upon arriving at the restaurant, I was stunned to see the chaotic scene unfolding before me. The switched daughter, Chloe, was there too. Spotting me, she hurried over to explain. Only then did I realize Eleanor had invited us to this seafood restaurant with ulterior motives to show off. At school, Eleanor had always clashed with a male teacher named Mr. Harrison. Their feud began during a student council election. Mr. Harrison's daughter was a classmate of Lexi and Chloe, and she was also taking the SATs this year. After her scores came out, she celebrated at her uncle's seafood restaurant. Eleanor Sterling had assumed her niece, Lexi, would outshine the other girl this time. Unexpectedly, when the results came out, Lexi struggled to even reach a 900, let alone a 1300. Eleanor had no choice but to pin her hopes on me. Fighting back her humiliation, she lowered her head and sweet-talked me, asking our group of top university students to save face for her. She even booked a private room right across from theirs. She was determined to outshine the other family. But when Eleanor pretended to bump into Mr. Harrison by chance and went to greet his family, things took a bizarre turn. Mr. Harrison wasn't there, but his wife immediately spotted the earrings on Eleanor's ears. She realized they were the very earrings she had lost not long ago. Mr. Harrison and his wife were in the midst of a messy divorce, and she suspected her husband of infidelity. Without a second thought, she accused Eleanor Sterling of being the other woman. The two women started fighting right there in the restaurant, but we all knew Eleanor's earrings were a birthday gift from Lexi that very day. The scene descended into utter chaos. Eleanor's controlling temper flared, and she pushed Mr. Harrison's wife into the decorative koi pond. Concerned bystanders called the police, who arrived shortly and determined it was a theft case. The thief, of course, was none other than Eleanor's precious niece, Lexi. The prep school where Eleanor worked had both an elementary and a middle school division. This school had a very stable student body. Teachers typically enrolled their own children in the schools where they worked, at least sparing them the hassle of future school selection. Thus, Chloe, Lexi, and Mr. Harrison's daughter had been classmates from elementary school through high school. One day after the SATs ended, Lexi visited Mr. Harrison's daughter's home. She became infatuated with a set of jewelry displayed on the dressing table and took it when no one was looking. Lexi had always had a habit of petty theft, but each time she managed to pin the blame on Chloe, slipping through unscathed. Gradually, the items she stole grew more valuable and her audacity increased. She even began to feel that other people's possessions were rightfully hers. This jewelry theft marked the first time in her decade-long history of stealing that she was exposed. Had I not pointed out that the birthday pasta was unsuitable for the occasion, Lexi wouldn't have been forced to produce those earrings. She had already listed the earrings on Poshmark, intending to sell them for cash. When the police arrived, the transaction details on that platform served as irrefutable evidence, though Eleanor Sterling bore no responsibility in the jewelry theft. But earlier at the restaurant, in a fit of rage, she had slapped Mr. Harrison's wife several times. Mrs. Harrison insisted on pressing charges for intentional assault. Terrified, Eleanor immediately apologized, nearly falling to her knees. Based on past precedents, Eleanor would undoubtedly face compensation demands this time. Lexi, unusually absent from the seafood restaurant today, having scored around a 900, she went around lamenting her SAT failure. While drowning her sorrows at a nightclub, she slipped her hand into someone's wallet on the dance floor and was caught red-handed by the security guard. After this incident, I repeatedly invited the Switch daughter, Chloe, to visit the Evans family. I told her
The Evans family isn't like the Sterling family.
the Sterling family was full of control freaks, while the Evans family had only me as the control freak. I would treat her like family, provided she agreed to be under my guidance from now on. I also said,
You know, if you had grown up by my side back then, with me overseeing your studies, you would have definitely gotten into Stanford this year.
Chloe remained silent for a long time before finally declining my proposal politely. She said softly,
I've already taken someone dear to your Sterling family. I can't take someone dear to your Evans family, too.
"Oh no, she is a complete altruist." But 2 months later, Chloe came to me anyway, wanting to return to the Evans family. She said after careful thought, she realized someone indecisive like her was best suited to be managed by someone like me. But I knew that was just polite talk. Behind the Switch daughter's decision lay her own unspeakable anguish. I next encountered Eleanor Sterling at a restaurant. For Thanksgiving, everyone had booked tables for reunion dinners. Without Chloe cooking this time, Eleanor had no choice but to pay out of pocket for a meal out. Coincidentally, the Sinclair family's Thanksgiving dinner was also at this restaurant. When I arrived, I saw the Sterling family gathered around the table, clinking glasses and sharing food. Looking around, all the relatives from that day were present, even Aunt Karen. I couldn't fathom how they could sit together at the same table after what happened with Lexi. Mrs. Sinclair, my boyfriend's mother, linked her arm through mine and began sharing the Sterling family gossip. Every detail of the Sterling household's turmoil had long since spread throughout the neighborhood. After Lexi's jewelry theft and the incident where Eleanor was beaten as an alleged mistress, everyone assumed Eleanor would sever ties with Aunt Karen. But soon after, the Sterling couple did something utterly unexpected. They forgave Lexi's family and even hired lawyers to defend her in court. They even declared they'd cover the costs for her to retake college admissions tests after her release. For this, Sterling family relatives all said,
The eldest son is truly outstanding, not the slightest bit vindictive. Indeed, truly a model for us all. As the eldest branch, they show such grace and understanding. When a child errs, can parents truly hold grudges? At the very least, they should be given a chance to reform.
Amidst the relatives' praise of forgiving past grievances and returning kindness for wrongs, the Sterling couple gradually grew elated. I had no intention of going over to greet them, but my sharp-eyed Aunt Karen spotted me. She delivered a cutting remark to my boyfriend's mother.
Mrs. Sinclair, you'd better watch out for that girl, Sydney. She is quite the handful, bringing such a strong-willed girl into the family. Things are going to get lively around here.
My boyfriend's mother and I exchanged a glance. Aunt Karen had dealt with Mrs. Sinclair before. She knew Mrs. Sinclair shared that same proud, forceful nature. Back when I was with Ryan, Mrs. Sinclair had already shown her displeasure. She'd said,
Aren't you being a bit too bossy, trying to control my son and everything? I've never even managed him like that.
Ryan replied to his mother.
Sydney isn't controlling me. She is clearly showing me the right path.
Mrs. Sinclair was stunned. Ryan continued.
Back then, I hated school and was addicted to gaming. I almost dropped out. Sydney didn't control my life. She charted its course. She is the steering wheel of my existence. Everything she says proves right time and again. Mom, why not listen to Sydney too? Following her guidance never leads astray.
Mrs. Sinclair remained skeptical, but that was fine. Later, we had a long, all-night conversation. As her eyelids grew heavy, her resolve weakening, I finally understood the pain she'd carried all these years. Mrs. Sinclair's husband showed her little affection, which is why she poured all her attention into her son. I encouraged her to socialize more, and she took my advice. But she faced rejection from the other wives in the country club circle. I told her not to worry, that I'd handle it. wait. I went straight to those wealthy ladies and made a demand.
Please treat my boyfriend's mother with respect, otherwise, I'll stop tutoring your children.
They backed down immediately, intimidated by my exceptional ability to manage people, even their own unruly children. After resolving the issue, I told Mrs. Sinclair.
From now on, replace "you are too forceful" with "you are incredibly skilled at solving problems." That is the art of language.
Mrs. Sinclair nodded vigorously. She acknowledged my authority. Yet now, Aunt Karen continues to delight in sowing discord between Mrs. Sinclair and me.
Speaking of which, overly assertive girls are truly troublesome. My Lexi is so gentle, she'll surely submit to her husband's family after marriage.
Mrs. Sinclair deployed the art of language.
Sydney is quite wonderful. I am very satisfied because she possesses such remarkable problem-solving skills.
Everyone froze with their forks in hand. Only then did I rise slowly and speak.
Aunt Karen, no matter how compliant cousin Lexi is with her husband's family, few families could endure eating pasta every single meal.
Eleanor Sterling grew displeased, raising her voice to rebuke me.
5 months have passed. Is the pasta incident still not over?
My voice, loud enough to drown hers, rang out with unwavering force.
Of course it hasn't. You so easily forgave this family of petty thieves. What does that make all the blame Chloe had to bear for Lexi's actions?
The Sterling family stared at me in shock, drawing the attention of everyone in the restaurant. But I wasn't done yet. I laid out every detail of how they treated Chloe and how they forgave that malicious thief of a cousin on her behalf. The restaurant was close to Eleanor's workplace, and with the holiday season, many acquaintances were present. After listening intently to my denunciation of the family, they all agreed the Sterlings were utterly clueless. They neglected their beautiful, kind-hearted daughter while siding with their scheming, wicked niece. As the saying goes, just state your needs and the world will automatically match you with teammates. Those who'd long disliked the Sterlings began kicking them while they were down. Oh, you are talking about the Sterlings? They've always been like that, didn't you know? You guys haven't heard about the Sterlings' dark history. Let me fill you in. No wonder everyone badmouths them. Turns out all those stories are true. The Sterling family was humiliated beyond words, paying the bill in a hurry before slinking away. After returning home, Chloe changed her last name to Evans. Though she wasn't particularly bright, years of quiet perseverance earned her admission to a decent state university. When she saw her acceptance letter, she murmured to herself,
I am not as bad as they make me out to be.
I said,
If you'd stayed with me back then, I could have guided you.
but truth be told, academics wasn't Chloe's true calling. Her real talent lay in cooking. The entire Evans family was like that. My dad was the pitmaster, my mom the pastry queen, my eldest brother the executive chef at a 5-star hotel, and my second brother became famous nationwide for his smoked brisket sandwiches. After the switched daughter returned, our household gained yet another chef. After pondering, I consolidated each family member's culinary strengths and launched a food blog and social media channel. It went viral in less than a month. The 5 of us stared at the long list on the screen. Suddenly at a loss, all eyes turned to me in unison.
This is too hard. I can't handle this. It is not my area of expertise. Yeah, only one person in the Evans family is qualified to handle this. Professional matters should be left to professionals.
They unanimously agreed to let me take charge. And so, they entrusted me with managing the most difficult thing in the world, money.